Welcome back. So this tutorial will deal with continuous movement as well as teleportation. So how do we set up the two most commonly used movement types? So the first thing we will do is we will go into XR Origin. So select XR Origin. Let's just minimize everything else. Select XR Origin. Let's right click, or actually go into XR Origin. And here we will add a component. We're going to call this Locomotion System. There we go. The next thing we will do is we will actually drag the XR origin into the XR origin of the Locomotion System. So we drag that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we will add a continuous move provider. Action-based. So once we have that, we're going to leave everything else as is. We're going to add another component. We're going to call this character controller. See how it added this this capsule? So that's basically the character that we will have. So within the character controller, you'll notice the slope limit is the maximum angle that the character can go up. So you can change this so maybe the character can go up steeper angles. Step offset is the maximum step height that it can go, it can step over. So if you wanted to take bigger steps, you can increase this. And then the radius is the radius of the player. So let's just go ahead and maybe make this half. So see how it becomes a bit skinny. And in the continuous move provider, there's one thing we need to do. We actually need to drag and drop the locomotion system in the system variable. So this locomotion system, we're going to drag and drop right here into the system variable. So that reads the locomotion system that we've already set up. So it's continuous moving. So within here, enable strafe means moving sideways. So you can use your joystick to move sideways. In gravity application mode, let's just go to immediately because it's a bit more realistic. In the forward source, we will drag and drop the main camera of the XR origin. So under XR origin, under camera offset, you take the main camera. Oh, let's go back to this. You take the main camera and then you add forward source. So that means it's going to use the main camera's transform as the forward source. And then we add the action that we want to use. So select use reference for both left hand and the right hand. But in this case, the continuous move, maybe we just use the left hand because it's a bit more common. So we'll select this and then we'll click on this. We'll type XRI and then we will select left hand locomotion move. Here we go. So that would be, this will have the controls set up already for continuous move using the left joystick. So the next thing we want to do is in the character controller, change the Y setting to 1. So you see how the character controller is actually sitting half on top of the plane, half under the plane. So let's just go ahead and change Y to 1. So it sits on top of the plane and we do not fall down. Let's go back to XR origin. And then the next thing we're going to do is add 2 more components. So number 1 will be continuous turn provider. So let's go ahead and add this continuous turn provider action based. And then snap turn provider. Snap turn provider action based. So continuous turn will be being able to turn around. So the next thing we want to do for continuous turn provider is to drag in the locomotion system again into the system variables for both. So let's add this in here, and then also for snap turn we will take the locomotion system and then drag and drop it into the system. So the next thing we will do is select the left hand reference for continuous turn provider. So we'll select this and we will select XRI Locomotion turn, because we'll also use the left joystick to turn. But for snap turn, let's use the right hand joystick to snap turn. So again, go XRI, Locomotion, snap turn. There we go. And then the turn amount shows by how much, by what amount or what degrees it's going to turn every time. Continuous turn provider, turn speed. This is where you can change this. And then also, if we come up to continuous move, you can see here there's move speed, and you can vary this in this location if you want your character to just be able to move faster, for example. The other thing you'll notice is, actually, let's press play, and that will show us how our character controller moves. So let's go ahead, put our headsets on. And in this case, I'm actually not going to show what it looks like in the VR game space, but we're going to just look at the scene and what that looks like, because I want to show you how the character looks. So if in the scene, for example, if I take my left controller and I use my joystick, you can see how, like with me standing up and down, it's actually not doing anything to the character, but it is helping me move around in the location. So as I'm moving, nothing's really happening to my character. Like it's not moving with me, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna fix that. And so let's press play. We exit out of that. And what we will do is we will add another character controller here. We'll go add component. We'll go character controller driver. And then this time, what we'll do is we'll add component, and then we'll use continuous move provider in the Locomotion provider. So continuous move. I'm going to drag and drop this in continuous move Locomotion provider. And then in here, you can leave minimum height to 0 and this one to infinity. And I'll show you why we did this. So let's go ahead and press play. And we will come back into the scene tab. And now you'll notice, see how the height of the character is actually, as I stand up, it increases. So it tracks the headset and the character actually changes in height as you move up and down. So it makes it a little bit more realistic. And that's it for continuous movement and setting that up. So before we get back into the VR space and see what's going on, we're going to do one more type of movement, which is teleportation. So the first thing we will do for teleportation, we'll go back to XR Origin. We're going to need a teleportation provider, so we select this in Inspector. What we can do is we can go all the way down, add a component, and we select teleportation provider. So in the teleportation provider, in the system variable, we are going to add XR Origin Locomotion System. So again, we'll drag this Locomotion System all the way into the system. Next, what we will do is we will go into our assets. We will go into example assets, our assets and samples, XR Interaction Toolkit, 2.5.2, starter assets, and then let's go into prefab. And then you'll notice here under the prefab, we need to go into teleport. Actually, no, this is not the one. Under prefab, interactors. So when you come under prefab interactors, you'll notice this teleport interactor. So this is actually already set up for us to do a lot of things that you would typically or in previous versions have to set up manually. So what we will do with this is take this prefab and we will add this to the right controller because we want to use the right controller to be able to teleport. So once you're in there, make sure the layer interaction layer mask is set to teleport. And that's pretty much all you really need to do. The other thing we need to do is we need to take the XR interaction manager from the hierarchy and we need to add it to the teleport interactor. So under the teleport interactor, you'll see this XRA interactor and then interaction manager, and it says none. So we will drag our XR interaction manager from hierarchy to this interaction manager tab. So when you come down, you can actually play with these colors, valid color gradient, invalid, blocked. So you'll get the hang of this when you get into the VR space and see what these colors are actually doing as well. And then we need to say where we can teleport. So for example, we can turn this entire plane into a teleportation area. So what we will do is select the plane. I will add a component. We'll make this teleportation area just so you can see how I'm doing it. And then here you'll notice interaction layer mask. We need to turn this to teleport. Teleport only. Let's go back to plane. And yeah, here you can see teleport area. So the other thing we need to do is we need to add a collider. And so you see here how the colliders list is empty. So you just take the mesh collider from here and drag it onto colliders. And it will add the plane mesh collider in the collider for the teleportation area. All right, so we are one step away. Actually, we are at the step where we can now test this. So let's go ahead and put on our headsets to test it. So let's go into Quest Link, launch. When you're in the Rift menu, let's go ahead and press play in our scene to see how our movement is working and how all the other items that we set up are working. Okay, so on my left joystick, I'm able to move around. With my right joystick, I can use my side trigger to teleport. That seems to be working just fine. And I'm still able to throw things around. So here you go. Teleportation and continuous movement. And that's the end of this tutorial.